Good morning, Sagittarius. Okay, so we are doing an energy read for you, for Sagittarius. So let's see what the cards have to say. What is the message that Sagittarius needs to hear right now? What is the energy coming in for Sagittarius that needs to be heard right now? So we have the Queen of Swords, and then we have the Ace of Swords. It's interesting. Some swords are really about like thoughts, ideas. Sometimes it's about being really analytical. Thinking too much sometimes. Okay, and then we have the Four of Wands and the Five of Wands come out. So the Queen of Swords and the Ace of Swords. So these are really interesting together. The Queen of Swords, I'm feeling like, is really an energy of you know, being tired of other people's shit, kind of like just kind of being like, I'm tired of listening to your stories. I'm tired of listening to your excuses. I'm tired of you saying something and not following through. That kind of energy, and I'm not going to put up with it anymore. I'm going to set some clear boundaries around it. I'm going to hold you to your word, and if you don't follow through on what you say you're going to do, then I'm going to consider the role that you have in my life and whether it needs to be modified. Like, does it need to be diminished? Does that mean that I need to spend less time with you because frankly you're just not a person of your word? Or, does it mean that I need to set some clear boundaries with you? Does it mean that I need to express to you? And swords are also about communication too. So maybe it's really about, if there is possibly an Aquarius in your life or something, or anyone really that is not following through on their word, not telling stories a lot, telling fibs, not being honest, and that can be in a very blatant way, or it can be in a very subtle way, whatever it is for you. But I feel like there's that energy coming about, and you are really wanting to set some clear boundaries around it. Like, you're at this place where, like, you don't want to take it anymore, and you don't feel like you should have to, and you don't, and if you don't say anything, that this person is, or this situation, whatever it is going to continue to hold you in a position that you are like constantly like not really knowing where this person or situation stands. There's too much ambiguity, there's too much distrust, mistrust. That's kind of what it's feeling like, and it's feeling like it's necessary for you to set those boundaries, or to call this person out, or to call this situation out, because the Ace of Swords here is really speaking of truth. And like a really like divine truth, like a core, basic, solid truth, and it feels like it's not really something that is happening for you. And so this Ace of Swords is really saying, like, you know, this needs to be a priority for you to be able to engage with people or situations from a core base of truth, right? That you, I mean, in situations, it like could be work. There could be like, because I keep hearing work too. There could be like some fishiness going on at work. You know, some kind of dishonesty or something like that going on at work, and you're tired of it, and but even bigger than that, bigger than the frustration that you feel over it, at its core, it's something that has to be brought to light. Okay, so for example, within ourselves, right, there are like these shadow energies, these darker energies that we have to shed light on, and we have to examine and put clear boundaries around, right? Like, how do I want to engage in my life? That's my boundary. I'm going to put a boundary around how I want to engage in my life, right? And I want to engage with life through a lens of truth and honesty. And so there's all these parallels, okay? So whatever happens within is also something that happens on the outside levels too, with bigger energies. It's like quantum physics, right? On this very small level, we're understanding that this is how reality works, right? On this very quantum tiny level. But what happens is that, or you know, what is that what we understand on the quantum level, it also translates into the macro level. And so these same things that we experience within ourselves are the same things that are happening outside itself. So the point that I'm outside ourselves. So the point that I'm getting to is that if there is a situation where something is not right, not in alignment, does not feel like it is in alignment to you, then there is a responsibility almost for you to shed light on it. And does this sometimes put you in a position of perhaps being in a position of retaliation, right? Like where someone could retaliate because you're bringing certain things to light, right? And other people may not like it and they may retaliate. Yeah, absolutely. But that's absolutely a possibility, just like all other things are a possibility, right? The other possibility could be that you bring something to light around, truth and deception, and it could very well result in something quite opposite from what you are fearful of, right? It could actually result in so say it's work, it could result in some policy change. It could result in, a different way of doing things so that the system becomes more effective and more honest and more able to engage in from a, connected way, right? Same thing for a relationship. Like if you, a personal relationship, if you are bringing something to light about someone's, maybe dishonesty or them, not sticking to their word, and how it, is impacting you, it could very well be that person does not like what you say and leaves, ends the relationship, but it also could very well bring about a realization for that person that, like, oh yeah, man, maybe I haven't been really acting in in my truth. I have been acting, you know, in this way that is like, you know, not desirable. And perhaps you bringing the light on it, you know, ends up being hugely beneficial for that person. So I think that what I'm really trying to get at is, like, you know, speaking your truth. Speaking your truth is really important. You know, if you have, so there's a difference, right? So you can sometimes fly off the handle and like say things that are not necessarily your truth, and you're saying them as a reaction, and they're coming out of anger or betrayal, feelings of anger or betrayal or something like that, right? That's not what we want. That's not speaking your truth. Speaking your truth is first coming from a place where you have examined the situation. You have looked at what feels right and just, and you have considered all these different, you know, aspects, considered all these different things, you know, these different things that play into a situation, right? And then after that, you've come up with a truth for yourself, right? Like, you know, something that you can stand by, and that is not based in ego, that is based in really, you know, higher consciousness and raising your vibration and all of that. When you've gone through that process and then you're speaking from that, that is speaking your truth, okay? And it's important. If you believe something to be your truth, and you find yourself in a situation where you're not being allowed to act in that truth, then it is so important for you to speak up and say it. Not just because it's like shedding light on darkness, right? Illuminating stuff, but also it plays into a bigger system, right? Like if we can speak our own truth with others, then it also like gives others the permission almost to speak their truth as well, right? But again, this is not coming from a place of ego. This is not coming from a place of you know, you did this, and so I'm gonna get you back by doing this kind of thing. No, this is honest. This is vulnerable. This is thoughtful truth, and it's important for it to be said moving forward in this world. It's important for you personally, and it's important for the collective. Okay, alrighty. And so what I have here, the Five of Wands and the Four of Wands, right? And the Four of Wands is like really this card of like stability, right? Like you have the four pillars. You're building a house, and you know, unless you're living in a triangle house, right? You need the four pillars that for the four walls, right? And that's like the real stability. But there's also this feeling, not just of stability, but of like, what am I looking for? Like a value, because it's almost like the idea of living for survival, and versus like living for beautiful experience, right? For color, and for you know, variety, and that kind of thing, right? Two very different feelings. And so what I'm trying to say about this Four of Wands is that this is not just about stability. It's about having the stability, but also having all of the color and the beautifulness and the experience and the variety and the you know, all of that goes along with it too. All of those details that make the stability worthwhile, make it valuable, make it enjoyable. Yeah, so that's what I'm feeling here. And then of course, The Five of Wands is like, you know, this conflict, right? Yeah. And this is just really going back to what we were, you know, speaking about earlier about the truth. There's some kind of conflict regarding the truth and regarding honesty and stuff like that. Or it could be something else as well. But there's some kind of conflict that is happening, and it may be petty on some levels, but for others it might feel, actually I'm getting this feeling of like it is a small thing, but then it's something that is continuous and constant, and so it just kind of builds up and builds up and builds up, right? Like yeah, it's like telling a little white lie, but then constantly telling white lies, like, and then, you know, if you're maybe a little white lie to start off with, but then if you're constantly telling white lies, then that kind of that accumulates, you know, and it doesn't feel good, right? So that's kind of what this feels like, and it feels like that this is really taking away from this joy and stability and colorfulness and variety and spice of life that you know, makes it all interesting and enjoyable. That this conflict is kind of, you know, taken away from that. And I just heard like taking a little bit of your spirit, like kind of dampening your spirit a little bit, and yeah, and you're tired of it, and so it's really important to really be that Queen of Swords right now and be able to speak your truth. And I feel like what this brings for you is just, you know, a greater truth in your life. And who doesn't want that, right? And when we say truth too, it's also like about authenticity. Yeah, it's like, you know, who doesn't want to be able to engage, you know, in life in a very authentic manner, right? Who doesn't want to have relationships that are authentic, right? You know, if you feel like someone can't be real with you, or someone can't be, you know, tell you the truth or be authentic with you, like what kind of, you know, that doesn't leave a very solid foundation for a relationship, okay? Or any kind of relationship, whether it be like a personal relationship, a work relationship, you know, whatever. Yeah, this is really about speaking your truth and living in your authenticity, and by doing so, you're giving others permission or encouragement to do the same, and then that also translates into systems. Like, you know, when you speak your truth and you are living in your own authenticity, that is helping systems operate in the same way as well, you know. So I'm thinking of you know, and I'm thinking of like work systems, right? Like you have a whole office, and that's a system as well. And maybe it's the culture of the office, right? It's the energy of the office to kind of not always be up and up about stuff or whatever it is, right? But by you taking the stand to act in your own authenticity, to be in your own truth, that is almost like shifting the entire energy of the office, where then others start to act and stand in their own truth, and then before you know it, the energy of the entire office, of the entire system, has shifted as well. Okay. So gosh, it almost feels like an Aquarius reading, because there's so much like air energy going on here. But I think this is really important for you, Sagittarius, because I don't know that that's something that I don't know that speaking your truth or acting in your authenticity comes easily for you, because I almost feel like there's this element of wanting to make everything work, and I don't want to say people pleasing, but there is like a little piece of that. Like there's like this element of you're able to see bigger pictures, you're able to see systems, and you want to you want them to work well together, and you don't want them to have, you don't want there to be like conflict and stuff like that. But I think this is really important for you to be able to move past your what's the word, your distaste for any conflict, and move into like a acting out of like true authenticity. And I think what I'm feeling that you will find is that your thoughts about how it will all play out is worse than how it actually will all play out. That it actually will play out in the long run as something very beneficial for you, like very like completely like can shift your entire path. It can like, you know, it can cause you to like completely jump timelines and be in a, you know, parallel reality where where you are engaging in more authentic relationships. Okay, Sag. Yeah, it's a good feeling, but there is a little bit of challenge there. But you know, like we really have to embrace challenge, because it is through the challenge that you know, we learn certain things about ourselves, or we're able to you know, look, it kind of like sparks us to go within and kind of like reorganize ourselves a little bit. Yeah, so it's opportunity, really. Okay, so I'm gonna stop right there. That is what it is, and hope you enjoyed it. If you did, let me know by giving it a thumbs up or making a comment. You know, I love to connect to everyone else's energy out there, so yeah, let me know. All right, okay, take care. Aloha and namaste.